Paul George is one of those players that can do a little bit of everything on offense. On top of that, he makes players around him better. In this video, we're going to break down Paul George's offensive game and what makes him unguardable. Let's begin with his ISO game. The first thing I want to show you here is how he creates separation with the dribble. He's real crafty when it comes to the dribble. So as we look at this clip right here, let's take it back a little bit. One of his go-to moves or setup moves that he likes to use is the between the legs cross. And he may do it a few times just to see if you shift your feet or if you stay planted. So in this situation, he has an ISO on the wing. He goes through, and as he goes through, he's going to give a little subtle through the legs, step. Now, if you notice with this right foot, he's going to give it a little short step. His steps are real crisp when he's using the dribble. He's never wasting much space. He doesn't waste much space when it comes to using the angles and using his feet to create leverage. So right here in this clip, watch how he subtly uses right foot to get the defender to get off balance, to make him think, right? The defender's thinking now he's going to his right. But that little short jab to the right, crossover, side step, step back jumper. That's one of the things that makes Paul George elite when it comes to isolation and creating separation off the dribble. Now, another thing that he does very well, he does a great job of changing his speeds with the dribble. So if you ever watch his cadence, is never the same, right? When he's coming down and he got you in the ISO, he's going to go slow to fast, and then he's going to give a little twitch. He's very twitchy with his footwork. And by being twitchy, it keeps the defender guessing, right? So like right here in this clip, as he's going through, little short step, right? He come back. He's still being a little twitchy because he's trying to cause a reaction with this defender. Not so much with the defender's hands. He's also looking at the defender's feet. And if you pay close attention, you notice how a defender keeps moving his feet because he understands and he respects Paul George's foot speed because he has subtle quickness when it comes to his feet. So he's still going and a little hesitation. So right here, when he goes through and a little jab, shoulder lean, watch his back foot right here. His back foot is going to drop. As soon as he drops, Paul George understands hands down, man down. And when you could shoot like Paul George can shoot, it's tough to guard. So one of the things that you should take away when you studying Paul George is that he's a 3-level scorer. He can score from the perimeter, but he can also get to the mid-range and he can get to the rim. So another isolation, ball screen. Now we got the switch. Now, same setup. He's going to go through, cross, and now this time he's getting to the rim. So if we go back and look how he was able to create that separation and get that defender to move, again, you'll notice little subtle footwork when it comes to his feet. Okay, he has elite feet. Short jab, he's leaning, right? He's leaning, shoulders are leaning, weight is loaded up to the right side. Defender is assuming that he's going to the right. And then at that last minute, boom, crossover. And he does. Now, we'll have to dive in this in another clip. Now, another thing that makes Paul George tough to guard in the isolation is the way he's able to change direction on a dime. One of the best at it. And then you notice here, the defender actually has him stop. But because he's low to the ground and he's maintaining his balance, boom, contact. And watch what happens once the contact is initiated. He's able to regain balance. See, right here, he's balanced. And that's important. When you're trying to create and you're going against tough guards, you have to be able to stay solid with your feet. Meaning that you got to stay balanced at any time, at all times, because you still want the option to raise up to shoot if you're able to create that slight advantage, that slight little bit of space to get into your shot. So defender does a great job of recovering. But because Paul George is so elite by staying low, shoulders are still down to the ground, he's maintaining his balance. Now he get to his mid-range game, and I like to call Paul George, he's the mid-range assassin when it comes to off the dribble. It's hard to guard him, right? Coming down, inside out, stays down, got him. Now, little subtle movement. Kyrie does this very well. He does this very well as well. When it comes to when you change the direction, you want to allow the ball to float into your hand. So now, between, right? We're going between. And now what we call this the drop. Now he's in a drop position, but he's allowing the ball to float. But watch this subtle movement right here. The ball's in his pocket, and he's going to get a little subtle step to his right. Right? That keeps the defender flat-footed. Right? Remember, when you're playing in isolation, it's not about playing checkers. You're playing chess. So little subtle movements with the shift of your weight or your feet can give you the advantage. In this case, it gave Paul George the advantage to get into his mid-range pull-up. Now let's talk about the shooting. Paul George is as elite as some of the best that's in the game right now when it comes to shooting. And this is what I mean when I say Paul George makes his teammates better, right? Paul George is not just the type of player that has to be ball dominant all the time. This is why he could play with great players such as Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and so on, because he doesn't dominate the ball. And his ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter at an elite level allows those guys to still dominate the ball when they need to. And he can play off the ball, like in this situation, and space the floor. Now, when it comes to his shooting, Paul George does a great job of staying balanced when he shoots the ball. Like if you notice right here, balance, perfect alignment, straight up and down, feet point to the rim, always on balance. And on the finish, I talk about this a lot too, right? When you're shooting the ball, it's okay to turn your hips. And you notice right here, his feet are facing towards the sideline, right? By turning your hips, it gives you more leverage and power to create more range when you shoot the three, which ultimately gives you more space, and it forces the defenders to cover more space, which means longer closeouts, which allows you or your teammates to get to the rim or touch the paint. Now, what doesn't get talked about him a lot when it comes to Paul George is his ability to move without the ball. And as you see in this clip right here, a lot of players only know how to be effective with the ball in their hands. And Paul George understands, because when he came into the league, Paul George wasn't known for your off the dribble isolation. What he was known for is his ability to be athletic and shoot the ball. Now, you notice right here, he's coming off a short little pin down, and he's going to curl because he understands that the defender's chasing him, and he gets into a easy layup, right? That's what makes him so effective, because how do you guard him? In isolation, it's going to be hard to guard him. If you want to guard him in the mid post, that's a whole nother conversation. And then he shoots the ball so well, you can't keep your eyes off of him, or he's going to kill you from the 3-point line. He's just an assassin at all three levels. So in this clip, he's coming off a UCLA cut, but then he quickly comes back off a pin down. Now, I want you to watch his footwork. As he's coming off the pin down, watch how quickly and smoothly that he's able to turn his hips. Again, balance. Balance. I cannot say this enough for you out there that are so-called shooters or want to be great shooters. You got to make sure you are balanced when you're shooting the basketball. Footwork, shoulder square to the rim, feet pointed to the basket. Let's watch this again. UCLA cut. He goes and cheats it. Now we coming back down. Subtle footwork. You see that outside foot. He plants left and then right. Now we square it up to the rim on balance. Elite when it comes to shooting. Same situation right here. Now he's being guarded by one of the best, right? One of the best in the game, Dylan Brooks, one of the best in the game. And he's going to be guarded tight. Dylan Brooks doesn't want him to touch the ball. So you got to be a little crafty when it comes to create separation from defenders like Dylan Brooks. So he understands he's going to use the screen. Now he's coming back. He fakes like he's going to cut towards the basket. He comes back, footwork, balance, on point. You cannot allow defenders like Dylan Brooks, tough, gritty defenders like Dylan Brooks, you cannot allow them to speed you up. You got to stay poised. And this is one thing that he does very well. Paul George is elite when it comes to being poised under distress. You cannot allow defenders to speed you up. So as you watch this video, make sure you go back and study again. And you'll be able to see what makes Paul George elite when it comes to playing offense. He doesn't just do it by dominating the ball off the dribble. He also does a great job of spacing the floor and creating space for his teammates. Now, the next video we drop in Paul George, we're going to dive into the mid-post game. We're going to dive into the pick and roll game. And you're going to see why Paul George is considered amongst one of the best in the game when it comes to offense.